Hello, everybody. This is GW. Just want to talk to you for a little bit and just see how everybody's doing, how everything's going, see what's going on in the world, and see whether or not there's anything that I'm thinking of that might be of some interest to some of you out there. So here goes. We'll see how it ends up. Hopefully, better than some other times, but it'll be good, I'm sure. Listen, I have been asked several times here in the last couple of days, what's it like being retired? What is it going to be like for them? Interestingly, being retired is an interesting time of life. It's one of those times when you sit there and you go, oh, I'm retired. I should be able to do anything that I want to do. Well, unfortunately, that is almost never the case, although I have to admit that you do have the ability to do more of things that you want to do than you did when you were working because work is called work for a reason. It's very seldom that you're doing exactly what you want to do and wouldn't have other choices if you could. So let's talk about a few things about being retired. First of all, there's a few things that you got to be careful of. And you need to be careful of them well before you're retired. You need to be thinking about them as you go along. One, you need to be careful of your money, your funds. Well, that's kind of the no duh moment. If you don't have any funds to be retired on, it's going to be really difficult to be retired and to be comfortable when you're retired. Now, what does comfortable mean? Well, that's a thing that's different for every person. As you sit there, I have friends who travel a lot, and quite a few friends that travel a lot. Some of them travel overseas, almost invariably overseas. Some of them travel by riverboat cruises, by large cruises, by just going into a country and traveling around in the country on their own, kind of. I have other people that travel only within about 200 miles of where they live. And they go for day trips here and a couple of days there and seem to have a good time with that. Then you have the people that travel only to see grandkids. And they see the grandkids quite often, but they're going to these one, two, or three places quite frequently, see the grandkids, and they come back. Now, the interesting thing is that all these people seem to enjoy what they're doing. They seem to have found a good way to use some of the funds and some of the time that you have when you're retired. So you got to applaud them. And it's one of those things that as you sit there and you go, wow, I wish I could do this, but you know you got to be careful what you wish for. What you tend to gravitate toward is probably what's going to make you the most happy. So if you feel like you have the need of going overseas and everything else, well, try to make it so you have the ability to do that. If you have the desire to really stay at home more but go out and get a few days away, then do that. I also have friends who never travel, and they have set up their life in a way that they very carefully watch their time and their efforts, and they are so involved. Many of them are so involved with local community activities, and they also seem to be quite satisfied with the way it ends up. I guess what I'm trying to say is when you retire, how you spend your time, what you do is up to you. It's not up to anybody else. It's not up to trying to keep up with the Joneses, although, we've all spent our life trying to keep up with the Joneses. So it's hard to break that habit, but it's good to have something to remember. Now, you got to be careful of one other thing also. You got to be careful of your body. You got to be aware of the aches and pains. A small problem when you're retired that you have with a physical issue can quickly turn into a major problem. And when it turns into a major problem, then it becomes impacting your quality of life. So you got to be careful. I mean, watch where your aches and pains are and exercise, stay flexible, keep moving, make sure that your weight is under control. I wish I could say I was doing a better job of that. But it's important that you have these things in mind as you do that. Now, speaking of your mind, it's important that you take care of your mind. Keep it active. Keep it looking for something to do. They talk about this seems silly, but they talk about some of the simple games that they have on your phone. They say, oh, if you play this game 10 minutes a day, it'll keep your mind sharp. Well, I'm not sure if there's any science behind that, but I do think that keeping your mind active is important. If all you do is sit down and veg in front of a TV and binge Netflix shows, it's very possible that you might have a little bit of decay of your mental powers. Most of us don't have a whole lot to spare to begin with. There's a couple people out there that have a little bit they could spare probably, but most of us don't. So keeping your mind as sharp as you can and as quick as it can be is important as you do that. So, you know, the other thing that I think about is your emotional health. If you're happy, if you're a naturally happy person, you're going to be a naturally happy person. But there's a lot of people in this world who are not naturally happy, and that they kind of have to sit there and look at things, and they kind of pick at things, and they kind of nitpick, and they just find the things to be bothered with, and it just increases the stress in their life as they just find little things that are wrong with nearly anything. So if you can figure out a way to not be unhappy and to be able to sit there and go, oh, this is good. This is okay. It's not perfect, but it's good. So let's deal with that. That emotional health is so important. And I do have one caveat of everything that I've said up to this point. I'm not an expert in any of this. I don't pretend to be. I'm just a guy who's been retired for a few years, and these are just some thoughts that are going out there. But there is one idea that I have that I do think is a pretty good idea. And that is that every day a person should try to do something different than they did yesterday. And I'm not talking about, oh my gosh, let's go to Memphis today. I'm not talking about something that's going to take up the entire day. I'm talking about something that just changes your routine. So it's very easy for a person to just kind of, okay, I'm going to get up in the morning. I'm going to have breakfast. I'm going to have that cup of coffee out on the front porch. I'm going to, take a shower. I'm going to go. I'm going to play golf. I'm going to come back. I'm going to clean up again. I'm going to sit down, probably take a nap. Yeah, naps are good, by the way. And then I'm going to sit there and eat dinner, watch a little TV, maybe go out on the back porch and watch the sunset or something. And then I'm going to go to bed. And then I'm going to get up tomorrow and I'm going to do it all again. You need to have something in that sequence of events that's a little different from one day to another, just to keep things flowing. You need to make sure that whatever it is that you're doing that you enjoy, that you have something that gives a little variance in your life. So I don't know whether there's any words of real wisdom here. I think everything I'm saying, any person that you talk to, if you asked them, would say something very similar, if not exactly the same. So there's no great wisdom here, but I do hope that somebody listens to it, somebody enjoys it. Maybe somebody will pick up a little tidbit of, oh, I can do this with my life. And, who knows? Maybe it'll help somebody. So remember, I'm GW, and at Gail Stark. Well, you found this on YouTube, so I guess I don't need to say it, but this is on YouTube at Gail Stark, GailStark. And just subscribe, follow, do whatever it is that it tells you to do down at the bottom of this. And, hopefully it continues to pick up a little energy. It seems to be doing pretty good so far. So I have, hopes that pretty soon I'll have tens of people listening to this every now and then. So enjoy yourselves. I'll be back next time. Take care.